Call of Duty World at War is easily the most rooted in horror, darkest form of zombies that Treyarch have delivered in any of their entries in the COD Zombies mode. And it also happens to be the version of the mode that created COD Zombies in the first place, and the reason that we're all here right now, still a part of this community today. World at War effectively serves as the beginning of the Black Ops franchise, Black Ops 0 if you will. It's the starting point for the storyline that we followed for 8 mainline games, and it's where our original characters, maps, and the game mode itself were conjured up. That being said, it is also a game that's turning 18 years old this year. World at War is, terrifyingly so, an adult. We've gone on nearly 2 decades of iterative changes to the mode, massive sweeping readjustments, multiple different studios' takes on zombies, dozens and dozens of maps, tons of characters, multiple weaving storylines, literally hundreds of years of theoretical history and lore, and so much more. So of course, after nearly 2 decades, it's hard to say whether or not this game still holds up. I mean, is World at War even still playable in 2026? Does it still hold its own as the OG of OGs, the granddaddy of Call of Duty Zombies? Or does it feel dated and lacking many of the creature comforts that we've become accustomed to over 18 years of continued development and improvements? I want to take a look back at Call of Duty World at War and find out for myself. Now, to kick things off, I want to get into my personal opinion about this game and my own personal lived experience, having been somebody who played this game during its live life cycle back in 2008, and a person that's been hooked on the franchise ever since. I love the fact that it's a grittier, darker, more difficult take on the mode. For reference, it's a version of the mode stripped down to its absolute bare essentials. Easter eggs were limited to a single radio that could play a snippet of a basic tune in the back of a 3-room zombies map with no perks, no pack-a-punch, a single wonder weapon, and nothing else. It wasn't until the end of the game's life cycle that we even had 4 main established characters to play as. We were unnamed, no voice line soldiers given a few basic guns and a ton of zombies to kill. As such, this game is true zombie survival at its core, in the original, older definition of what a zombie survival game typically looked like in 2008. It's more akin to something like Left 4 Dead style games. Here's a gun, here's some zombies, shoot them. Except, Treyarch had the benefit of some of the arcadier style gameplay lended to them by being a bonus mode of Call of Duty, alongside making this mode wave-based rather than mission or objective-based. I love that. I think that's fantastic, and that's what got me hooked on the mode in the first place. I was the kid that was going on websites like Ninja Kiwi and trying to find zombie survival top-down games. So something that was 3D, playable in Call of Duty, and had a massive player base that I could play either online or solo with, I was hooked. I loved it. I still do. Now, something to note is that this game was only unlockable by beating the entire campaign of Call of Duty World at War at first, so it did have an initial limited player base, and it wasn't advertised in any way, shape, or form. It in itself was an Easter egg, and it had to be discovered by only the most hardcore of fans that didn't just come to Call of Duty to load up multiplayer and play casually. You had to be a campaign player that sat down for a handful of hours, grinded through each and every mission, then stuck around past the credits before shutting the game off to be pleasantly surprised by the game loading you right back in and throwing hordes of zombies your way completely unexpectedly. In that effect, it's the most unique zombies mode that we've ever had, because it wasn't a zombies mode just added to the game and ready to play on day one. It was a zombies mode you had to earn. So I think that immediately unlocks it some points for cool factor. On top of that, through its original release, it was limited to 4 maps. That same launch map unlocked from the campaign, Nocturne and Toten, alongside 3 DLC maps, Verrückt, Shinonuma, and Derice, each adding slightly more of the features we know and love today, and that have become staples of the mode. Verrückt added in perks and power, Shinonuma added special rounds with dogs and an additional wonder weapon, plus more unique traps, a more sprawling map, and biggest of all, characters. We were finally playing as people we could hear, interact with, listen to, and learn about. Our main 4 crew, Richtofen, Nikolai, Takio, and Dempsey, all together on one map. We started to see a glimpse of a storyline, something I truly believe Treyarch were just winging at the time and had no clue what was going to come of it all over the next few games. Then came Derice, probably the most notable addition to World at War, and the map you're watching on your screen right now. This map introduced one of the biggest advancements to the mode and something that allowed for significantly more replayability, both increasing the difficulty and allowing the player to scale themselves along the increased difficulty, and added a true objective to the mode for the first time in an unlock quest, this being the Pack-a-Punch machine. Alongside this, Derice also featured what I would consider the first true Easter egg in the more modern sense of how the zombies community uses the term. We had little things to shoot, voice lines to unlock, radios to interact with, props to investigate, and lore dumps from completing unnamed objectives. And I have to give Treyarch props for all of that. World at War is the game that set the precedent for what zombies is now. But for this game, that's the extent of the mode. This, at the time, was already getting a bit crazy. It felt like a lot. There was so much to learn, so much to do, so much to see. Or so we thought, without yet having the benchmark of games like Black Ops 2 or 3 to compare it to. Games so overly complicated that it makes World at War look like a stripped-down, simplified, basic version of the game like I mentioned earlier. So again, at the time, absolutely fantastic. Huge mode, a massive addition to the Call of Duty franchise, and something we had never seen before. All great things. But it isn't 2008 anymore. These days, it's a difficult, somewhat but clunky, bare-bones version of zombies. It has 4 basic perks, it's got a handful of weapons, there's no boss fights, special enemies, major objectives, progression system, there's only a few select maps, and that's it. It's totally replayable for sure, but purely for fun and for nostalgia, for the sake of going back to something to honor the original. And I'm not saying this game needs any of that. I'm just saying that in comparison to the rest of the franchise that we've built up to now, it's missing a lot of the things that people come back to the more modern games for. And in my personal opinion, I think it's a fantastic game. It also had the benefit over the years of being the only game until Black Ops 3 that had custom zombies. So the community was able to take it upon themselves to create a cult-like fan base of a quirky new mode and make it their own, building their own maps, their own characters, their own weapons, their own Easter eggs, their own storylines, anything they want them to be. But I do want to recognize that the game also doesn't hold up anymore the same way it used to. Going back to it as someone who used to play the game every single day, online and offline, solo and with friends, going for high rounds, trying to pack a punch every single gun on Derice in one match, finding new camping spots and hidden areas, and trying to Easter egg hunt before I knew what Easter egg hunting was. I went back to it to make this video and I realized that it was clunky, a bit broken, extremely slow paced, in some ways so ridiculously easy you can get to round 10,000 and that's not an exaggeration, and in other ways so broken that if you accidentally use the most overpowered weapon on a certain map, the Wunderwaffe, you can accidentally disable your perks and make the game, because of an unpatched bug 2 decades later, unplayable. And that's not a fault of the experience that I had as a kid playing this game. It's just the way the modes progress. It absolutely deserves its place on the throne as the reason that this mode exists at all. It's the patriarch of the Zombies franchise. It's the original, the reason there's so many copies. It's the mode every other version of Zombies has tried to be. But there's also a reason there's been 7 sequels to it from Treyarch alone. There were necessary improvements that needed to be made. These improvements made the game so much better over the years, and they don't give a ton of reason to go back to World at War specifically. I can play all of the maps from World at War in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3, games that both uniquely have their own gameplay advantages and mechanic improvements. I can use all the same weapons in Black Ops 3. I can play as the same characters in 5 of the 7 different successor Black Ops games. I can follow the storyline through 2 decades of other options. Heck, I can even play Nocturne and Toten in essentially every other Call of Duty Zombies game as either a featured map or an Easter egg inside of another map. It's the blueprint for what the mode is today, but blueprints exist so that we can build upon them. World at War is great, but it's dated. It's fantastic to play, and it's also clunky to play. It's ancient in terms of Call of Duty standards, but it's also a classic, essentially retro, or even considered vintage these days. So do I think Call of Duty World at War holds up? Yes and no. Spiritually, yes. Storyline-wise, yes. Creating the mode itself and where it stands today, again, yes. But mechanically, not really. And that's perfectly acceptable to say. It's a nearly 20-year-old game. It doesn't have to still be perfect. I would love to see World at War be remastered the same way the original Modern Warfare was. I'd love to see it ported to modern consoles the same way the Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 have been. But only time will tell if we truly see Treyarch and Activision revisit this game and give it the modern makeover it needs. But everyone has a different opinion. What's yours? Do you think World at War still holds up today? Do you still go back and replay it every so often? Is it your daily driver COD Zombies game, or is it just collecting dust on your retro game shelf along with other old 360 and PS3 titles you haven't picked up in 2 decades? Let me know your thoughts below. And if you like this video, as always, feel free to drop a comment and a like, and let me know if you want me to do more of these styles of commentary videos. That's all I've got for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.